So how smooth are you in Finnish?
Well, I can say a lot of nasty stuff. That's
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Have you been like studying Finnish?
No.
Just like
Never.
learning it by the ear.
By sheer conviction, I'm not. Because it doesn't make any fucking sense, and I'm like very serious about it. Like even your rules don't have rules; they just have exceptions. Like I don't know. Like you can say nainen, and then it's nicer. What? Poika, pojat. What? It doesn't make what? Why?
Makes
Why?
sense.
But like,
100%.
why isn't it just like, you know, any other word which you just put a T at the end? Why isn't it like that? Like even simple things like plurals have exceptions.
Nainen,
Like,
nainet.
why? Why the fuck not?
It's just no.
Yeah, but it's just full of exceptions. Like, if you even cannot turn a word into plural with normal rules, like, what kind of language is that? Like, you know, it's crazy. It's batshit crazy. I hope you're still fucking rolling. Thank you.
Finns are crazy.
Yeah.
Just a reflection of Finns as a people.
For sure. For sure. But yeah, like, you know, and I do come from a language that some people might say has too many rules. Like, it has very few exceptions, you know, the Greek language. And yeah, it's very structured and very etymological. So for me, it's really hard to, you know, go into a kind of opposite language. Like, Finnish is just like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, that's the whole Finnish language. It is what it is. Like, that's just the way we made it. You know, we just decided, you know, oh, we were drunk one night and we decided that, yeah, it's gonna be like that now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you know, if that's my impression of your language, but goddamn, even Finnish people will agree with me. I don't know about you specifically, but, you know, it's really something. I can understand some context in the conversation sometimes. Depends if you throw words that I am, you know, I'm familiar with. But if you don't, maybe I'm screwed. Depends. Yeah.
Well, that's something that I've heard a lot, that the rest of the world basically thinks that Finnish is a hard language.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
For sure. And like, it's totally different from formal to informal. That's what I have learned, you know.
Yeah, the dialects can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and even like casual talk is totally different than what you learn in school. Like, I don't know, it was something like, let's go there, or like, we're going to the train station, and something like that is totally different when you learn it in school, and then when you talk about it, it's like, you make it way simpler when you talk sometimes.
Yeah, okay, I can get what you mean.
Yeah.
And then people from different parts of Finland will say that spoken version through their slang even.
Yeah.
So yeah, good luck in learning Finnish.
For sure.
And then you will learn like how to speak Helsinki slang, and then you come to east of Finland or Lapland, for example, and that is a whole other ball game.
Yeah, for sure. And I can understand, like, yeah, the big geographical differences. Like, okay, you're going, I don't know, 8 hours away with a train or something. That's okay. But if you go even from Helsinki to Tampere, it's like, hold on, I just went 2 hours away. And it's like, what? You know, I can sometimes. There were a couple of times that somebody was from Tampere and I could pick it up from their Finnish. I had no idea what they were saying, but somehow their accent was so distinct to me that I was like, is this person from Tampere? They were like, yeah, he's from Tampere. Yeah, I know.
It's like the dynamics. Tampere is like the note, the melodics from there.
They have something Swedish in their talk.
Do you think?
At least in my ear. Yeah. Compared to the Helsinki people, which is more like moikka. It's more like
it's fast and efficient.
Yeah, it's very impersonal and neutral.
Okay.
You know, like very robotic, dare I say. At least in my perception, you know. In a way I can be a bit more, you know, I am less involved in the language, so maybe I can be a bit more objective, so to speak. Or at least what my ears say. You know, and not what
Well, that's interesting observation.
Yeah, because I'm not partial to any accents or dialects in Finland because it's just, it's not my language, so I'm just observing.
Yeah, you're just hearing sounds and kind of thinking people from this part of Finland sounds different from people from 2 hours away.
Yeah, I'm just putting the pieces together, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what other dialects have you heard then that you can kind of distinctively separate?
I can't really tell. I think like somehow the Tampere one was the most different to me. I could immediately tell from the rest of the people. Like out there are drummers from Nivala. I cannot really tell much difference. And I'm sure it is. I know that he says kolme instead of kolme.
Kolme.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's for sure. But yeah, small differences like that. But I don't know.
But that's
Not too sure.
I think those are things that a vocalist will pay attention to because you're working with your voice, you are working with your intonation a lot. So that is something that our ears are just tuned to.
Yeah. I always try to pick up, different cultural differences, accents, anything, you name it. And yeah, for me, language is very important and communication is very important as a person. I'm very... communication based. Like if we cannot say the right words to each other, we already have a problem. Like if we have to whatever, like limit ourselves, or if you have some impediments, in your speech, like it's gonna be a problem down the road. So it's very important for me that also whatever language I speak, that I can handle it very well. And I think maybe that's my excuse for just sticking to English and Greek, because I think I can do both languages at a sufficient level. I wouldn't really run out of words, or I can express myself properly, I think. So
it's like important. All about how rich or how richly you can express yourself in that language, and that is why I usually stick in English and in Finnish too, because like yourself, it's very important for me to be understood as far as I can. Obviously there are always people, and everybody will reflect from their own basis basically, but I very much resonate on that one.
Exactly.
This might be a weird question, but how do you experience sound or music?
That is quite a deep question in a way. Like it's like you're trying to express how do you see something. Like how do you express?
Because I do see things. I have this sort of like synesthesia. When, for example, now when you speak to me, your voice has a color.
What color is it?
Take a wild guess.
Purple.
Quite good. When you go higher, you are very blue.
My eyes are blue. My eyes got the blues. Okay.
Yeah. And then in your mid-range you have a lot of purple. But then when you go and reach to your lower register, that is actually, I think there's orange in there.
Where did that come from? I was expecting, I don't know, pink or green. Somewhere in that spectrum.
Actually, it's very earthy, like almost brown. And that is weird because usually...
So my lows are shit.
Well, you said it that way. But that is, it's strange because...
I'm not supposed to agree there, but okay.
Usually bass singers have brown voices. And that is fun to me because people are referring to brown notes.
So I can reach the brown spectrum.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh yeah. This is my brown voice. God damn.
But that's just one example of how do you like experience. Do you have like a strong inner world or visions, or
for me,
when you listen to
I definitely don't work in colors. That's one thing for sure. That's fucking weird. I don't know how to censor this, but it's fucking weird. But I usually might think of a piano in my head because I always know the notes. That's a cursing and that's a curse and a blessing at the same time. Like I always know that this is an F, this is an A. Like I know the notes, and in a way that makes me kind of like how one person sees, like, hey, this is a cup, this is a black cup or whatever. You know, this has yellow, orange, and whatever, and white there. We're not gonna discuss about this blue, purple, pink thing in the 4, but you know, that one. So I do have the same sense, you know. I don't have to calculate relatively like, hey, this note is more black, this note is more white. Because I always just know that, hey, this is an A, this is a B. So, I don't know, for me it's like a way clearer, like you know, some people might experience music like navigating through a fog or something, I don't know, and they have to know that, hey, this is a C, so now you know where you are. You know, they need a compass like that. And I don't have the need for that. It's very clear to me. So I guess that means a number of things. But how I experience that, I don't know. It's kind of very clear, cut and dry. You know, like what goes through my filter and what doesn't go through my filter, for example, like in my musical taste. Like, I will know very early on if a song, for example, is for me or not, if a melody is for me or not. Like, it's like, you know, some people might listen to an album and they might be like, oh, after the fifth listen, it's really great. There's no way. For me, it's like at first sight, so to speak. You know, I know if this song or album is for me or not. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, or it is just how I am built. And yeah, I guess you kind of weed out the bad stuff for you, you know, and you can easily select what's good for your ears and what's good for your brain, what's good for your soul. You know, when you pick your music. But how do you experience sound? Yeah, I don't know. It's a very intricate question.
Yeah, it is.
That's for sure. I definitely don't process it with colors. But it is a piano in my head a lot of the time.
Okay, so...
Like I will see a black and a white note, like, you know, it's an F, it's white, or it's black, you know, it's in the sharp notes.
Okay.
You know? So blacks are the sharp notes for me, and whites are like the, you know, neutral notes, so to speak.
Do you have perfect pitch?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing.
Ah.
That's why I know, like, yeah, this is an F, like, and I know it before I listen to it, so I can visualize, like, if I have an idea in my head, I know right away which key it's going to be at.
Interesting.
You know, so, yeah, it could be a curse for some people. I think I've managed to balance it and keep the positive sides of it, you know, because some people just go nuts. You know, they just, you know, like if it's an insignificant noise, yeah, my brain will register the pitch of it, but, you know, it will not consciously think that F, E, O, A, O, G. Like, I will not go like that. But yeah, if there's cars honking, yeah, I can tell, like, a lot of fucking cars are G sharp and B. I don't know why, it's a minor third. But yeah, a lot of cars are like that. And a lot of cars do an E and F together, which is pure dissonance, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, that certainly wakes up the ear.
Yeah.
It's like so disruptive.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a better way to do a honk, you know, because if you have a, you know, a good interval there, it's not so annoying, so maybe it doesn't get the job done. And imagine you have a song in G sharp minor and then a car is honking at G sharp B. Like, that's not gonna help much. You might not even hear it.
Very true.
It's gonna blend in.
You will going to need the dissonance.
You know, exactly. But yeah, if it's a like, That's an EF. Like, yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, tritone is a good one as well. Yeah. Do you hear it from the ambulance going through?
Oh, it's the worst when it goes far away and it keeps dropping in pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, that will make your eyes twitch a little. Like, please go away.
Yeah. Yeah, ambulances are the worst. For sure. For sure. Can't fucking handle them. No, stay away from that. Like, yeah, that's a bad sound. That's a bad sound.
I thought so. Especially with, as a person with such a perfect ear, that must be painful.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question, because people will answer to that from their own perspective, which is different from person to person. And it seems like it's also, to some extent, a very visual experience for you as well. So you see a keyboard and then you go like,
a lot of times. Yeah. A lot of times. I will think of some instrument. Most of the time it might be a keyboard. Sometimes it depends on what I'm listening. I'm like, so how would this be played in a guitar? So I'm trying, and I think that might be a way with how I'm keeping up with some of my chops. Like, I can play the piano and the guitar, but I don't practice them that often. But in my head, I do all the time. So I always think, okay. And same with the guitar. And all I need is, I don't know, 10-20 minutes in the instrument and I'm getting the flow. Because I think I practiced it a lot in my head. So the toughest one to keep up your chops is the voice, because it's the actual instrument that gets rusty, you know. Whereas in the guitar, it's just your hands. So it's just, 10-20 minutes and it's back, but with a voice, let's say I would never do that, or I hope I never do that, but if I don't sing for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, oh boy, it needs a lot of catching up.
Totally. It's a very easy thing to lose your stamina and lose, for example, the extremes of your highs and lows. Do you have any kind of vocal exercise routine now?
Nowadays it will be just lip trills and NGs, and that's it. Like,
So you kind of hum with NG.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's it. And then I'm like, okay, let's sing.
Do you go through like scales and major thirds with octave?
It's usually an octave slide.
Slides are good.
Yes, yeah. If you want to connect your voice, just fucking do that.
Yeah, the passaggio, when you want to kind of go over the bridge without yodeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing your slides with your lip rolls or NGs or Ns and Ms. M is a great one to kind of find a different resonant kind of placement. You have and they all have very different sounds.
Absolutely.
Those are like regular for me as well.
And that's the thing. And whenever you would, for example, teach to someone like, okay, if your M doesn't work, let's try N. And if it doesn't work, let's try NG. Something's gotta give. And for me, it's always like using, the assisting wheels on a bike. For me, first one is the lip rolls, for example. That's a small representation of your actual voice, but it's easier to process it. There's not so many obstacles. And then you get to a more proper voice production, for example, the NG, and from that you can easily open to vowels like same thing.
Yes.
So you just unstick it. So for me, that would be my whole approach in a nutshell. So there at the last one we took all the assisting wheels off and we went to just vocal production. So basically you start from that and you expand, and the whole mentality is that, they all belong in the same branch. You don't go radically different from your lip roll to an A. Not really. Not at all. So that's the idea, to make them all connected. And they would all come from the same branch. So nowadays I just to get my voice in a good placement, basically. because sometimes it's just hard to find a good placement.
Very true.
And for me, that's mostly the value of a warm-up. You know, that's my warm-up. Like, yeah, can I get my placement correctly so that my voice is pristine throughout? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so lip rolls and NGs all the way.
It's the thing, when you've practiced enough, you don't need much to remind your body to kind of, oh, there's the placement, and here we go, etc. So you don't need to overdo. Yes. Otherwise, you will tire yourself. For example, before a gig or before a session, vocal class, etc.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, I used to get into the trap of super warming up, like before the gig, and that would give me a lot of excitement, for example, because I was like, holy shit, my voice is in such great place and so fit. and then I would go and bust myself out in the first 5 songs because I was just like that. So nowadays it's more like, okay, it's workable, let's just go. You know, and that gives me a more even performance, you know, like I don't start all guns blazing and then like I use the first songs to actually get there. You know, it's not like I will go all out and damage myself in the first song. So that seems at least to work a bit better for me nowadays, you know. Whereas going all out in the first 5 songs and then you have another 10 to do or 15 and you're like, oh, we're still in the 8th song. Holy moly. How do we go on from here? You know, it's like, I want this to end already.
Survival mode. Activate.
Yeah, and it's always too late. Like, if you've already done some good damage, you know, like at the 8th song, and you still have another 10 to go, you're like, okay, we're fucked. Yeah, because at least what we do is like, it's not the type of music that you can afford damage. You know, it's really at my extremes, you know, like it's at my limits, you know, stamina-wise and pitch-wise and everything, you know, it's just at my top, you know. I try to push it at home, you know, to keep up, because there's nothing for me that emulates the stage exhaustion. Like I used to, for example, practice the whole set on a static bicycle at home. So I was...
I've been doing that too.
Yeah. You're the only person after me that I've met who does it. Yeah, I've told it to singers and they're all like, you're crazy, like, what the fuck, that's wrong. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, how else are you gonna be on stage? You know, like, you're not just supposed to stand still and sing.
It's a marathon.
You know, it's a fucking marathon with sprint tempo, if you ask me what I am doing with Beast in Black, at least, you know. And, you know, I don't think many men can do it. If we talk about women, yeah, good luck with the long range, but yeah. Like, there is some of it in a couple of songs. But yeah, like, the whole repertoire is composed for female voices, basically. Like, most of Anton's songs have been composed for a female voice, and he just keeps the same pattern nowadays, even if he knows that he has a guy. It's like, no, yeah, well, he can handle it, so whatever, like, let's just go. Yeah, and I enjoy the challenge, though, like, seriously, because it's like a constant fight. Like, of course, with age, decline will come. You know, like, you don't always have the same high tendency for notes, and you want to relax. You are not so eager to sweat out of effort of singing and everything. But I like the challenge of keeping up, pushing myself. So that the bicycle is one way, and the other thing I've done is I do raise the songs 1 or even 2 semitones at home.
That's wise.
Depends which song, of course. But yeah, most of the songs I can still handle at home, like a semitone up or 2, which is crazy. But yeah, that's a fucking good practice. So if you can do that at home, it should feel okay at the gig.
It's also like the mind game behind that. Yes, you will know that you've done it higher, so you will make it easier on stage. Like, I've done this with the more extreme version, and now I'm just like taking it down a little bit and writing the lower or the original key on stage. So it's always a good thing to go harder when you practice, but then go easier on stage.
Exactly.
That will release your like stage presence to a whole new level when you're not going too hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It does a lot to what comes to connecting with the audience
Like,
as well.
yeah, that's always the best approach is like, yeah, when you've practiced your stuff so well, and of course it involves that you practiced it on stage as well. For me, as we've talked before, like, yeah, it's not enough if I just rehearse it with a band in the studio, you know, in the rehearsal room or at home. Like, for me, the biggest practice is the first few shows. So when you get that done, and then you can really just focus like 98% just on your stage performance. That's where you really start to sing freely and stress-free, you know, like. And I would only have, I don't know, 10 notes in the whole show that I would actually need to focus on. Because, okay, this is demanding, focus, you know, and that's it. But I think that ideally, even those, eventually you wouldn't need to focus on, and you would just be like, yep, it's just a walk in the park, ideally speaking. But yeah, you need a good physical condition for that, of course.
Yeah.
And you need a good practice, like to be in a good vocal shape as well.
Yeah. Well, your instrument is inside you, so you will have to take care of yourself. Everything is connected.
And I do notice that, you know, I don't know, back when I was 18, 19, like I could damage my voice, and, you know, after a couple of days it would be totally as it was, and that's it. But after 25, 26, every time you actually make a damage that, okay, you cannot really talk the next day, that costs a lot. And yeah, I've had a couple of tours that went so rough on me that my voice is never the same after that, and it probably never will be. You know, there's a couple of things that I cannot retain. But for me, those are lessons and great opportunities. These are not problems. It's great opportunities to readjust and learn your instrument.
So what is your, I know we've already touched this subject earlier on, but you've been living in Finland for what, 2 years, two and a half? What is your vocal journey? Like, have you been always singing?
Oh, you mean in my life?
Yeah.
Oh.
I only know your like Beast in Black past, but before that I don't really.
Okay.
What is your vocal journey?
Ooh, well, I mean, the whole music thing, for example, started when I was basically 10. I picked up the piano, and I went to school for 2 years, piano school, and that almost 3 years, and that included theory lessons as well. So I finished the music theory with that. Then I picked up the guitar. So basically my father, as much as I remember, he basically showed me the main chords, like E minor, E major.
So your father
A minor, A major.
is a musician.
Yeah, and he still does this job till this day. Like, that's basically how we've always had food and a roof, basically, because of him playing in bars, restaurants, weddings, baptisms, you know, parties, whatsoever.
Okay.
And yeah, so basically he showed me the basic chords, and then that, okay, if you put your whole finger on the first fret, then you just transpose it one semitone. And that was enough for me because, yeah, I knew how it works from the piano then. So I kind of transitioned my notes. Okay, I know what the notes are now. So I know how the chords are shaped with my arms, with my hands. So yeah, I can go on from this. So I started picking up the guitar, basically learning songs. And when I was around 15, I started singing. Initially because I had to. Like, there was just one band and a good friend of mine that they needed a singer, like their guitar player and singer had just left their band. So we just went for it, and he was really pushing me, like, yeah, like, dude, the world is full of guitar players, like, you can out-sing all your idols. Like, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And, you know, yeah, he was telling me, yeah, sing this song, sing me this song. Like, oh fuck, this is good. I think one of them was 18 and Live that he was asking me to sing. He was like, yeah, dude, like you can actually do it better. I was like, what the? Of course, back then I couldn't, but I was singing, I was hitting the notes pretty strongly. That's for sure. But yeah, that guy really pushed me to sing. So we had a couple of school bands with him, and yeah, I had a few school bands. Then one of the first real bands that I joined was Crosswind for a couple of years in Greece. We had only 4 shows with Manowar. That was amazing, for sure. 3 in my hometown and 1 in Slovenia in Magic Circle Festival. That was the Manowar festival back then. And then I joined Until Rain. We made 1 EP and 1 full album.
Oh, okay.
But the biggest thing that I had in Greece was a War Drum. So with them we released full 3 studio albums. And that was going pretty well.
So when was this?
The War Drum, I had the first album 2012.
2012, okay.
So I was 20 years old back then.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, 2012, 13 and 16. We had 3 albums with War Drum. A few gigs in Greece, one gig in Czech Republic. But for me, that's what developed me a lot. Discography in general. Like that's where I really found my voice. My character, so to speak, you know. Because whether you go in the studio or when you go on the stage, like you have a character, you have like a persona. And I think with the first album with Until Rain, that was a very deep step into those waters. And then the second War Drum album, like, yeah, I was really starting to get how I want to sound like, you know, like what's my sound, so to speak. So, like we've talked before, of course, my sound is like a mixture of my influences, and then there's this percentage that I sprinkle on top, which is like, yep, this is my own shit, you know. But yeah, I started figuring that out around 2013.
Yeah, like what's the mixture of influences that makes Yannis?
Yeah, and I'm really curious because I don't always mention those influences out loud, but I'm really curious for like somebody to come and tell me, hey, this guy must be one of your top influences, and I would be like, yeah, or like, what? No. Like many people, for example, will tell me like, yeah, Rob Halford. Yeah, he's great, but not my influence. Not at all. I never listened to Judas Priest in my life, like very few songs. And yeah, he's not my top influence in any way, you know. Like, yeah, that's not how I do things at all. Like, he's fucking great, but maybe there is some similarities in some approaches or some notes, but...
What would you list as your top influencers then? Where do you look up to? Or have they changed?
They do. The core is always the same. I would say that the core is revolving around Bruce Dickinson, Russell Allen, which technically they have very different voices from mine because they are all belters, you know, and I'm not. I'm a cheater. That's what I am. I'm a fraud. Yeah. But then Roy Khan from Camelot, back in the days, until 2010, he was in Camelot. He really was an influence in my mid and softer register, you know, but now we're giving that secret away because some people are now gonna pick it up.
No one will
for
know.
Sure.
No one will tell.
For sure.
It will be our own secret.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I think that's the Holy Trinity, you know, and of course then there's a lot of guys that I aspire, you know, from like Tony Martin from Black Sabbath, Dio, of course, you know, But I think the golden era of Tony Martin is just unbeatable. Unbeatable. I don't know how that guy was singing like that. And you know, I don't know if you know about Tony Martin. You know, he had like 3 albums with Black Sabbath or 4, but they are the most underrated Black Sabbath albums, and like nobody talks about them. And the guy didn't even want to be a singer. They just told him, "Hey, you want to come like do these albums?" And the guy was like, "Oh, okay, let's see." Like he didn't want to be a singer.
I'll try.
That is batshit crazy. That is just. But yeah, just to name a few, I don't know, David Coverdale, Bjorn Lande, which is kind of similar thing. When it comes to metal singers, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think those are the ones that I can name off the top of my head. Robin McCauley from MSG.
Okay.
That guy is like, what, 67 now? He sings exactly like when he was 25,
That's
30.
him.
I mean, exactly the same.
That's nuts.
There's no sign of change, aging, slowing down, lisping, nothing. Nothing. I saw him live in 2019. Yeah, I think he was 65 at the time.
Jesus.
So I think maybe he's even 68 now. You must have heard at least one song from MSG. Like, they have a couple of well-known songs.
Okay.
If you check out MSG Nightmare, like, you might know that song.
I will now.
If you listen to that, and if you find any concerts from him, like, lately, same thing. It's like, this can't be. His stamina is even actually better. Like, I checked a couple of songs that he was doing back then with a band, and he had to take an extra breath. Nope, now he doesn't. 67, and now he doesn't. I don't know, some freaks of nature. Steven Tyler is the same. He's at least until he was 69, unstoppable. Like
hardcore.
Crazy. So at least when it comes to endurance, or you know, how I want to be when I'm 60 something, hell yeah. These guys are like,
but something to look up to.
yeah. I mean, some of my examples, like Tony Martin, has really declined. He had a few tour exhaustion problems that he totally shot his voice. So it really, he can still record in the studio in the same kind of voice, but he cannot keep it up live. Bruce Dickinson is still in a great shape. He had the throat cancer, so his voice got a bit more round and a bit more muffled, but still killing it live, totally. He's like, and as a frontman, he's like the father of all. He's the godfather, god damn it.
And do you mean charismatic, having the aura?
He is, you know, he is the absolute being on the stage. You know, there's a... And like, that's the proof that, yeah, you don't need big size to be commanding on the stage. You know, that guy, you know, he's definitely shorter than me, but he's damn strong.
It's not about the height.
No, definitely. So, but again, even when it comes to that, like stage presence, yeah, for me, it's always the best to learn from the best around and, you know, make your own interpretation and fix things that they will not fix, or, you know, change things that they will not change, and just do them your own. And, you know, of course, put your own spins into it, and, you know, just really learn from the best and take it to the next level. That's how the whole art can progress, and that's how you as a person and as a performer can progress.
Well said.
You know, when it comes to anything, really.
You're right.
You know.
Talking about learning, when did you become a vocal coach? When? How? When? How did it happen?
I was around 22 when I was doing my first lessons, but I think that was a bit early, you know. And it's not like I have some paper or certificate. Of course, I had my studies, but I never took the paper. Like, I never finished the university. So just I was in the University of Thessaloniki, musical sciences, And I basically did the practical lessons there, and then when it came to the theoretical ones, like history of music, or you know, what else was there? Like there was some harmony stuff and some. You even had to pick either Italian or German, you know, just because of the classical singing, for example. And those ones I just never. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna read. I can do anything you want, like I did the ear training exercises, I did the singing exercises, the solfege, like all of it. We had some jazz lessons, I did all of that. Instrumentation, I forgot everything about that. But I finished those, like, you know, I passed those practical ones, but then when it came to reading, I was like, I read until high school. That's as far as I can go with reading. Like, I'm done. You know, so I was not much of a reading person, so I just basically stopped there. Okay. But yeah, so there goes why I don't have my paper, so to speak. But I still think that, yeah, I know so many things that it really feels like I know nothing. Like, the more I know, really. And I'm really delicate and careful, like, what things I will pass on to someone, you know, like...
as you should.
You know, and I always go for the safest, more universal approach. And, you know, I'm just leaving it up to the person to how far they're willing to take it, you know, but I don't want to experiment, or, you know, I don't want to make somebody develop bad habits, you know. So for me, it's all about taking out bad habits, you know, if somebody has them, and reestablish new good habits, you know, and like a safe, easy way of singing. At least it gives me hope that I really had a couple of really starting, like, amateur students that could barely, like, it was a big gamble if they would hit the pitch, you know, coming on first to me. And then I was like, oh, what am I gonna do here? Yeah. Because again, like, I don't think I am, you know, the most traditional teacher or somebody that, you know, I'm just going with what I see at the moment, you know. Yeah. And yeah, I found myself that after 3 or 4 lessons, I was like, oh, we're not even discussing the pitch anymore. What's going on? Like, now we're trying to even get, like, advanced stuff here. I was like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right after all. But yeah, I it's not my first and foremost job, so to speak. So I do it less, but at the same time, I have way more confidence in it every time that I'm doing it. Yeah, always when you're on a roll, it feels like, okay, now we're on to something. Like, yeah, maybe I know what I'm doing after all. So I always have these battles with myself, you know, like, yeah, I know nothing, or wow, I know a lot. Like, there's no middle ground. You know?
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why you see me, like, rambling on, like, oh, I'm there. And then
that's fun. I like that. Yeah. Branching out, going with the flow.
Definitely.
Well, we will have to wrap up very soon because our bus is leaving, unfortunately. But you were
time flies.
I know, when you're having fun. But you were talking about, like, teaching some, like, safe havens, safe places for young aspiring singers. Could you kind of maybe name 2 or 3 fundamentals that people should gravitate towards to when starting their singing path, whether it's in extreme vocals or just cleans?
For me, of course, it all starts from a normal vowel production, because that's your voice. So for me, it's all about having very clear, intact vowels. And at least when it comes to the root of it all, like, yeah, you can pick it up either speaking your own language, or, like, you can pick it up from, for example, let's say classical music, but I wouldn't place those vowels in a classical positioning, or sound spectrum, but like in a very pure manner. Like you need to go like a, e, o, u, very clear and cut. So that would be the root of it all for me when it comes to the vowels. So how do you approach those? Well, yeah, before you make a vocal production, that voice is basically air. So yeah, you would need to dial it back to the diaphragm. Like you need to take a breath from there. And you need to sustain that vowel with the support from your diaphragm. So basically that would be, you can go with method of elimination. That's how at least I learned it. Like just don't raise your shoulders when you breathe. That should do it. Yes. Like, so if you eliminate that out, then you can have at least a bit more clear image that, okay, where am I taking my breath from? And then when you actually produce the note, that the note has to connect at that moment. For me, it's like you have a tube, that it starts, let's say, all the way from down here and goes straight here. So you need no interruptions, all between that, like a straight imaginary line. So, for example, I'm not a huge fan, and I tend to do that mistake a lot still because of the type of music I'm singing. But if you go all the way like this, for example, even if you don't produce any note, like
unnecessary,
for me,
kind of.
like you can see the strain right away, and even visually, it kind of goes against this vertical line. It's like, oh, you made a horizontal thing. No.
Well said.
And you can easily have the same vowel like sound very like it can sound very horizontal without being horizontal shaped in the mouth. Like the mouth is just the output. The sound is already produced in here. It comes from here. The breath comes from here, and the sound, for at least in my visualizing, is shaped inside here. So you can be easily like ah, which is more round, or ah, and my mouth is the same. I don't need to go ah, same sound. Why would I do all that?
Yeah, you don't need to form the sound with your expression. You're forming the sound. Well, you're forming a lot of your sound with your tongue, especially. Like overtones.
Yeah, exactly.
So nice point. You have your vowels, then you have the
breath support.
Breath support. Yeah, and the openness in general.
Yeah, and for me, the mouth is just it's like, okay, we made a sound in this room, but we want it to go out. It's just all about opening the door. And just keeping it open. You don't need to fuck with the door anymore. You don't need to mess with it anymore. Like it's just open it.
Leave it open.
And that's it. And that's where people a lot of times might fall into traps. Like they just try to change the sound a lot with their mouth. But for me, it's just like just leave it open and relaxed, and if you're doing things right, it is before it's happening before you open the mouth, not after. If you try to change things after the mouth is open, it's a bit too late.
Yeah. That's true.
So, yeah, in a nutshell, if you can call it that, those would be some focal points that I would focus on.
Yeah, I think those are very important tips, and that's a good point, I think, to wrap this up this time. We have like so many subjects we didn't even scratch it. So I think we need to do this another time.
And I always keep rambling on, I really expand whenever you tell me something. I don't even know if I'm answering.
No, I think that's the best way, to go with the flow.
Did I really answer that? I'm starting to.
Well, I think we will have to let my followers decide that.
Yeah, and I hope they got some answers.
Let us know. And I think you are going to follow the comments too, and then they will be the judge. Anyway, until next time, thank you very much,
Yannis. Thank you.
And until next time for you guys too. Bye.